Like Stephenson.
Thank you, Ms Barker. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship. And can I thank the Honourable Member for South Norfolk for introducing what has been a really balanced and thoughtful debate, which I hope the Minister has found useful and will take lots of useful comments forward as the Government moves forward with its plans. I welcome the opportunity to contribute to this important debate on firearms licensing and the reforms we need to strengthen public safety whilst maintaining the trust of responsible shooting communities. I'd like to begin with a case that's been referenced by honourable members previously in this debate, the tragic Prosper case in Bedfordshire, which revealed serious vulnerabilities within our current licensing system. An individual, Nicholas Prosper, obtained a shotgun using a highly convincing forged certificate, a document that appeared legitimate to a lawful vendor, and then the following day went on to commit a triple murder within his own family. This was on my doorstep in North Luton. Police later confirmed that he'd also planned an attack on a local school, prevented only through the swift actions of Bedfordshire's officers. Just last week, I met again with a member of the extended Prosper family, someone whose life has been utterly shaken by this tragedy. Listening to their grief, their unanswered questions, and their determination that no other family should ever endure such devastation has shaped my contributions to this debate. I'm grateful for the courage it took for them to speak to me about something so profoundly painful, and I'm hopeful that their experience will help drive the reforms needed to prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. For that family and for our wider community, change must be about preventing real, life-altering harm and ensuring that the system designed to keep people safe cannot be exploited again. It's important to acknowledge that this was not an isolated vulnerability. There's been at least one further attempt to use a similar forged certificate, fortunately spotted by a vigilant registered firearms dealer whose professionalism prevented a potentially catastrophic situation. But we cannot depend on vigilance and instinct alone. Public safety must rest on systems, not luck. At the centre of this issue lies the National Firearms Licensing Management System. It's an outdated platform, unable to provide real-time certificate validation and no longer fit for the demands placed upon it. The Home Office is now, I understand, tendering for its replacement, expected in mid-2027. Crucially, the new system will introduce real-time online certificate verification, in my mind akin to the MOT checking service people are familiar with. This is strongly supported by the police, licensing experts and responsible shooting organisations. The replacement platform will enable wider modernisation, new digital licensing formats, stronger anti-fraud measures and a public portal allowing certificate holders to update basic information themselves. These changes will reduce pressure on police forces, improve data accuracy and support a more efficient and secure licensing environment. But serious concerns remain in the interim. The 7-day review mechanism is helpful, but it cannot eliminate the risk exposed in Bedfordshire and indeed across the country. If a firearm is transferred before police notification, there's a dangerous window in which harm can occur. Bedfordshire Police have been clear with me in my interactions with them, and I agree with them, that the system must be capable of validating a certificate before transfer proceeds to make the secondary market much safer. Some have suggested that the solution lies in a far more radical structural change. They want to merge the Section 2 shotgun licensing regime with a stricter Section 1 system used for rifles and higher powered firearms. I understand why people reach for a radical change in the wake of tragedy. It happens after every tragedy, and we have the strictest gun laws in the world as a result. Constituents understandably want reassurance, and they want decisive action to ensure it never happens again. But the evidence simply does not support the approach being proposed by government for all the reasons explained by members and honourable members here today. Shooting organisations and licensing specialists tell me that merging Section 1 and Section 2 would not materially improve public safety. Both regimes already require rigorous background checks, suitability assessments and medical scrutiny. But tragedies have arisen from failures in the system, outdated technology and administrative gaps, not from the distinction between certificate types. A merger would generate significant unintended consequences, increased strain on already overstretched police licensing teams, slower processing times, higher costs for responsible shotgun owners, and damage to rural economies, game management and conservation work. At the same time, I must highlight the unacceptable delays to licensing that residents and shooting organisations consistently report, delays that are particularly acute in my constituency of Mid-Bedfordshire, which falls under the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Hertfordshire Firearms Licensing Unit. This unit is now formally recognised as the worst performing in the country, with some applicants waiting up to 2 years for renewals or grants, placing livelihoods, rural businesses, conservation activity and community clubs under real pressure. I'll gladly give way. Yes.
Thank the Honourable Member for giving way. One of my constituents, Martin Price, who holds both a Section 1 and a Section 2 licence, got in touch with me ahead of this debate. He's really clear that ownership is a privilege and safeguards are essential to the system, but he describes similar really significant delays and inconsistency between forces where applications are in place. So does the Honourable Member agree with me that whatever the outcome of this consultation, I think the message has been pretty consistent, though I've had to dip in and out of this debate, that improving consistency and efficiency across firearms licensing departments would be a vital step in ensuring public safety?
Yeah, can I thank the Honourable Lady for that intervention, and I absolutely agree. You know, my constituents like hers want a system that works, want a system that's swift, but also a system that's safe, and I think the Honourable Lady makes some excellent points. And these delays coincide with rising licensing costs, meaning that responsible, law-abiding certificate holders are paying more while receiving a poorer service at the moment. This is not sustainable, and any reform must ensure that those who follow the law are not unfairly penalised by the overstretched system. Crucially, merging regimes would not address the real vulnerability, the absence of real-time verification. In summing up, I'd be very grateful if the Minister could please assure us that she understands the distinction and will take those views forward as she moves forward with these legislative proposals. Across Bedfordshire, more than 1,000 residents have signed the national petition calling for Section 1 and Section 2 licensing to remain separate, including nearly 300 people in Mid-Bedfordshire alone. Their message is clear. Focus reforms on the real risks, not on measures that burden those who already comply with the law. A modern verification system will improve public safety. A structural merger of shotgun and firearms licences will not. I also want to put on record my thanks to Bedfordshire Police for their professionalism and for their insight and for their commitment to preventing further loss of life and for the compassion they've shown to the Prosper family and the wider community. Their insight into the system's shortcomings must shape the reforms that follow. We must empower them, not encumber them. Can the Home Office Minister now set out the precise timetable for delivering real-time verification on what interim safeguards will be put in place before 2027 and how both technological and legislative reforms will be accelerated? Our objective must be ensure that that what happened in Bedfordshire can never happen again. We owe that to the Prosper family. We owe it to every family in the county, and we owe it to every community in this country. But we also owe it to the responsible shooting community to ensure regulation is proportionate and supportive rather than a blocker to their participation in country sports, conservation and stewardship. And before I conclude, Ms Barker, and I should have said this up front, I must declare an interest working very closely with BASC on this, and having been on a deer management course with them, which I did in order to improve my knowledge of firearms. I'm not a firearms licence holder, but I have in the past held shotgun licences, but I must declare that interest before I conclude. Thank you so much. Yeah.